Every article about the Okinawan diet cites the same number: 85% of calories from carbohydrate, almost all of it sweet potato. The survey that produced that number was taken in 1949. I wanted to read it. It took me a while to understand why I couldn't, and longer to realize that, as far as I can tell, nobody else has either. The Okinawan diet is probably the most cited traditional diet on Earth. It has a Netflix series, cookbooks, supplement lines, and a tourism industry built on the idea that the people of one Japanese island worked out how to live past 100. And underneath almost all of it sits a single macronutrient breakdown: 85% carbohydrate, 9% protein, 6% fat. Sweet potato is the staple, not rice. Those figures are not a fact about a place. They are a measurement of one population in 1 year. And measurements have circumstances. So I followed it back. The accounts that cite a source at all trace to the same research group: a 2007 paper in the Annals of the New York Academy of Sciences and a 2009 review in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition. This is serious work by serious people. The Okinawa centenarian study ran for decades. Neither paper is where the number was made. Both reported from a dietary survey carried out in 1949. The fullest citation for that survey appears in a book chapter the same group published in 2010. It reads, "Records of Health, Education and Welfare, 1949. Office of the Civil Administrator of the Ryukyu Islands. Record Group 260, Series 12.5. National Archives at College Park, Maryland." That is a real address. So I looked it up in the National Archives' own finding aid. 2 things. The Office of the Civil Administrator did not exist in 1949. The American Civil Administration of the Ryukyus was established in December of 1950. In 1949, the islands were run by something called Ryukyuan Command. And the series named in the citation, 260.12.5, the National Archives' own description of it, lists nothing before 1960. Nothing from the 1940s at all. The records are not digitized. You have to go to Maryland. They published the figures again in 2014. That time the source reads, "Archived Food Records, National Archives, 1949. No record group at all." The citation got vaguer, not clearer. Now, this does not mean the survey is invented. Almost certainly it happened. The American administration measured things obsessively, and the Okinawa records run to tens of thousands of items. What it means is narrower. The single number underneath a global longevity industry points to a filing address that does not resolve, and for 20 years, on both sides of a loud argument about this diet, nobody appears to have opened the finding aid. Which leaves the more interesting question. What was 1949 on Okinawa? In 1945, the island was the site of the last major battle of the Pacific War. Naha, the capital, a port city of 70,000 before the war, was 95% destroyed. That figure is written on the back of a US Air Force photograph taken 3 years later. In the south of the island, there is a wall 2.2 kilometers long, carved with the names of the dead. 149,703 of those names are people from Okinawa. Compiling it took more than pulling records. The policy document describes a separate investigation into households where everyone had died and into infants because nobody was left to report a name. The survivors were moved into camps run by the American military government. Food arrived as rations. There is a photograph taken at Ishikawa in August 1945 of women sorting a mountain of sweet potatoes. The caption explains they are weighed out on an old balance scale. Nobody weighs out a traditional diet. You weigh out relief. There is another from a camp at Tyler of a girl carrying a basket of sweet potatoes. The American photographer wrote one instruction under it for whoever filed it. Note squalid conditions. That is the same administration in the same years describing the same food. One set of records became a photograph of hardship. Another set became a longevity diet. Sweet potato was not something the war introduced. Okinawa was the poorest prefecture in Japan, and it had been the staple for generations. So the 85% carbohydrate figure is not the surprising part of that table. It is the ordinary part. The surprising part is the other end. 3 grams of meat a day, 15 grams of fish, on an island built around pork. The same records put vitamin B12, the vitamin from animal food, at a quarter of the recommended intake. Before the war, Okinawa had more than 100,000 pigs. After the battle, by Okinawan government records, fewer than 800. 17 years later, the Americans were still flying breeding stock into Naha from Seattle. The survey was taken in 1949. The sugar industry was gone too. Production did not restart until 1953. And the fields were taken. A Navy photograph from October 1944, 6 months before the American landing, shows a Japanese runway going in where cane had grown. The following spring, a marine photographer recorded 1,000 Okinawans digging up everything they could before the ground was cleared. His caption calls it salvage. Both armies took the farmland. A population eating the starch it had always eaten and almost nothing else. The herds were a year old, the mills shut for a decade. The longevity industry sells the ordinary half of that table. It has never had much to say about the other. None of this makes the longevity fake. It was real and carefully documented. The centenarian study is one of the longest running of its kind anywhere. But look at who was studied. The centenarians examined in the late 20th century were born decades before the war. Their lives ran through a pre-war island economy, then a war that destroyed it, then years of scarcity, then rapid Americanization. No study can pull those 4 periods apart and tell you which one did it, or whether it was the food at all, rather than the walking, the work, or the simple fact that surviving what they survived selects for something. A survey from 1949 describes one slice of that. It was never designed to describe a tradition. In 1958, on Ishigaki, a comedy was performed in Yaeyama dialect to 700 people. The title was Rice and Sweet Potato. In the American record, the plot is an argument between the two, over which had any real value to a human being. That is not how a people talk about a superfood. As for the longevity, in 1985, Okinawan men had the longest life expectancy of any prefecture in Japan. By 2000, they were 26th, and the prefecture's own health institute titled its report on it the 26 Shock. They had not got worse. Between 1995 and 2000, they gained 4 months of life expectancy, the smallest gain of any prefecture. They had stopped moving while everywhere else kept going. They have not started again. By 2020, the men ranked 43rd, and the women, first in Japan at every count from 1975 to 2005, was 16th. Though not at every age. Past 75, the men are second in the country, and the women first. The old still live a long time. It is the generations behind them that are falling. Same island, same people. What changed was what was on the table. We have been recommending a record of scarcity to each other and calling it a tradition. That doesn't make the food bad. Sweet potatoes are still sweet potatoes. It makes it a different thing than what's on the label. And the number on that label has been sitting there for 20 years with nobody's hand up. Every document is linked below, including the one that does not resolve. If I have read any of them wrong, put your hand up.